Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone for coming tonight. My name is Mark McGrain. I am currently the Council Commissioner in Five Rivers Council and will soon to be Assistant Council Commissioner for Technology inside of the soon to be Great Falls Council, November 1st. Yay! Um, Part of one of the changes that we're here for tonight is in the past, Western New York Council has used uh, double knot for its event registration system. And Five Rivers Council has used Black Pug, and we are going to be continuing on with the Black Pug format and kind of following along the lines that we've used it in our council here. So this is a chance for training on you guys who are event chairs or manage event chairs. So we'll be talking about the different features of Black Pug, um, how to use it for your own events, how to access reports for it, how to handle check-ins, even how we manage refunds on the system. So by the time we're done tonight, you really shouldn't have any questions regarding Black Pug until you've actually started getting in and using it. Some of you already have already been given access into the system. As professionals have let us know who event chairs are or activity chairs, things like that. We've been building their access and getting them linked into some certain areas. So let's talk about that access before we get in there. So we set up tiered level access in the system. So the professional staff have full access to all the events that they supervise, that they're the staff advisor for. So, for a district, they've got access to every district event going on there. Doesn't matter if it's advancement training, whatnot. Um, when they staff advise for council level areas, so we'll just arbitrarily pick on the council training staff advisor. They'll have access to all council level events, all council training events. With our volunteers, so our event chairs and committee chairs, we do staggered access on that. So the most basic access or the biggest access that we give is that an event chair will have access to their event and they will be able to go into their event and look at the reports. They will be able to see registration information. They will be able to send emails out to an individual or a group or the entire everyone registered for that event. So if they want to send communications out through there, they can. Um, they'll be able to run their health reports for their cooks and all that because that's kind of important to know your medical information coming in. Um, if you're doing additional orders on things. So, for example, if you're selling a T-shirt or if you're selling a meal, that can be built into the system. And maybe you're not selling a meal. Maybe it's do you want hot dog or hamburger, right? And we'll make those choices, and you'll be able to run the reports ahead of time about what the orders are, so you can have them all set up. And then during the course itself, there's a check-in program in there, and we'll look at that because I really hope that you use it. And it works great for accounting, plus adding in the money. So if someone comes on site and pays, and then at the end, the closeout reports, which are also important to help us give a recap of how our event went. So as far as building an event goes, not a lot of access for the event chair to go in and make any changes to the event. We have a team of people. We're always looking to grow it. They're the ones who go in and make the changes and build the events. We don't generally give that to any of the event chairs. They just don't use the system enough. Now, an event chair who expresses an interest and wants to be part of the team, absolutely happy to train them. And that'll be a different area for them. We can also build this access. So the next level is, so I'll pick on a Klondike Derby. The district acts as a Klondike Derby. The activities chair for the district will have access to all of the activities in their district. So they will be able to go in and look at the attendance, look at the reports. They won't have to call anybody. They don't even have to go to, hey, JJ, you're my Klondike event chair. How's your event going? Oh, I think I've got 6 people. Well, I looked. You've got 3, buddy. What's going on? So they can do that. That also builds to the next step. So if you're, and we're just going to keep picking on activities, if you are or end up being the council activities chair, you will have access to all of the activities in the council, and you'll be able to look at that. So you won't have to go to your district activities chair, or they don't show up to your district meeting or your council meeting and you're wondering how it's going. Wow, that was a look of somebody who's used to that one. And JJ's in the same boat. He's used to them not showing up either. uh, uh, so you'd be able to look at that stuff as well. So, but you can't get anything else. So, for example, If you are, and again, we're just going to pick on a district level to begin with. If you are the district activities chair, you are not going to be able to look at the district training events that we do registration out of because it's not your area. If you are the council activities chair, you're not going to be able to go and look at the council training events. It's not your area. You're not going to be able to go do the council fundraising events. Not your area. You'll have access to your area. And if some reason one doesn't show up you think you should have, then you just reach out to me or a member of my team, and we'll figure out why you don't have it, and we will fix it on up. So this is a very well integrated system. Part of the training that we'll be doing with the volunteers as well, and what helps to make this work, is once a month we do what we call a membership upload. We actually take all the membership in our council between the units and the leaders and the scouts, and it actually gets uploaded into Blackpug. Now, what that does is when a unit goes and registers for an event, by default, the key three of the unit have access to the unit's roster. That means when they log in, they can select their unit under their login. And as opposed to typing in Mark McGrain and Emily McGrain and Eric McGrain, which are my kids, I could look at my troop as Troop 84, look at their roster, and then autofill those names. I just click on them and it will fill in their name. It'll fill in use protection dates. It'll fill in membership ID numbers. It'll populate with some, but not all of it. And fills right in. So it makes it a lot easier for the units to work with that as long as we've updated the information. And that's also where we start looking at what we're asking as questions go. For example, I say we do this upload once a month. There is a option in the system, and we'll look at that, where we want to know what unit's coming, right? You want to know Troop 84 is coming to your event. But if I make that a required field with the unit validation, so required out of our uploads, if Troop 84 joined this month and we did our upload at the end of the month, but registration is going on now, they're not there yet because it's not integrated into my scout book or my.scouting. It's an upload we do. So they wouldn't be there. So we would give them the option of filling it in and they can manually type it in. But we're not making it a forced required field that they're using the unit validation. Otherwise, a unit that's not uploaded isn't there, right? Same thing with, we're not requiring that they're a validated member of the BSA, because if they're not at the time, but they are by the time of your event, they're not there. And because we do this upload means that we all know in scouting, we're going to go with scouts first, or a scouts BSA and venturing, that they have to be registered, right? The adults present for these overnight activities have to be registered. And as an event chair and your staff advisor, it's part of your requirement to make sure that they are, right? It's your event. So you'd actually be able to see all this stuff on the event registration. It comes up, and I'll show you a screen on it, but it shows you a nice little shield symbol saying, yep, they're here, and a lightning bolt that, yep, their youth protection is still valid. So it works out good. The nice part is if you're running a big event that gets people from out of council coming in, if that council uses Blackpug and they upload their membership, it actually shows up on our system because it's checking the data and it'll validate them for us. If they don't, that's when you have to work with your professional about validating people that are present, are registered somewhere in the BSA. Cub Scouts, that's where we look at, if it's a leader, they have to be registered, parent or guardian, otherwise can attend with their scout. So it's just the way we arrange the fields in the question. So your login to Blackpug, it's a very smart system. It remembers where you left off. The very first time you logged in, you probably had a screen similar to this. It's the only time you're really going to see that screen because it remembers where you left off the last time. So really not a lot that you need here, but you can always come to what they call the home screen by hitting on this Blackpug symbol up here. That's what that does, is return to home. This is all stuff that we use. It's quick links to the calendar, to the site reservation system, things along that line. Some you'll see, some you won't on there. They always list their trainings and webinars, and they do a lot of training. Certainly encourage you guys to go. We'll talk about how you get help as well, and their latest news. And they're constantly working on updates all the time. They're always constantly improving the system. What's nice about this company was made by Scouters, and that's the only people they market to. So you'll have some companies out there, and we've used one in the past. We used Double Knot before, and Double Knot's not a scouting program. It is a event registration software that markets to scouting. So Black Pug is for scouts. They only do scouting. So that's why it's really nice. It works with us really, really well, and they're very responsive on the help. So let's take a look at some of these icons, and then we'll get into the ones. You will not have all of these, as you don't need all of these, so you don't have them. But if you happen to have some of them, I don't think anybody on this one does, and we'll deal with those people specifically, is camp reservations. This is how we work our site reservation software. The golden ticket, which is the one you will use the most, is where we manage and work our events. Some of you will have access to forms. Forms get used for a variety of things. Most of us are familiar with something like a Google form, and we can have forms that are part of the system or used independently. So an independent one, and I'll use a current example, is that the advancement committee in what's currently Western New York, the Eagle recommendations are on a form. So that is a standalone form. Somebody gets emailed, they fill out the Eagle recommendations. So that standalone form is there, and the advancement chair would have access to that form. On an event where it's built in is when we look at something like, say, summer camp, and I'm just going to pick on them, is they have a campership. So the campership form is made a part of the event, and that's tied to that one. They fill out their campership request, and it's built into that. So again, if there's someone that has a need to access those will be there. Nice thing is not too many of the events actually need a form because of the way we can ask questions inside of the system. Trading post area. So this is reporting. Each event you can run reports out of, and this will do from here. You can run reports that are global, so cover the entire system if you have access to it. And you can also access an event only report. So if you didn't want to go into the event, you can do it from here. Communication center. So think email that's built in. Again, you can send out emails specifically to an event, or if you have access globally to all of our users. And you can do this from within the event itself. We'll look at that. Most of you shouldn't have that one. That's where we manage our accounting software. This is tied right on into our account. So actually, when they register, the money gets moved right into the account codes. One or two button pushes on our end, but it's right there. Same thing. This enables us to do refunds basically as soon as you let us know about it. Essentials is just working on some of the essential software of this system on here, maintaining and maintenance, adding users, permissions, things like this. And then I'm going to go right to forums here real quick. Forums, which you all have. This is a great area for you have a question. I am always going to be one of your best resources. I've been using it for a very long time. My team will also be good resources. You are welcome to come to us. You are also welcome to go onto the forum. They're very responsive on here. So from here, announcements of things that are coming up, changes they've made, dashboard is just reports of some council information, tutorials. You want to learn how to do something, you can find it right here. They continuously run tutorials and videos and embed them right here. General support. You want to ask a question. It's clicking on general support, and then you can see if the question was asked already, or you can click on new topic. And you can just put in the title of your topic, ask your question. If it's something you don't want everybody else to see, which, there's not too many questions we don't need everybody else to see, right? Because if you had the question, somebody else does too, and then post it. They are great at getting back. You probably get a response within, an hour would be my time frame. And then you will actually get an email telling you that they've responded to your post. You can come back, you can click on your email, log back in, it'll take you right there, or down here, you have view unread, my activity, it'll bring you right into your questions that you had. So very, very responsive. This little notification icon up here is actually all the current forum questions that are going on. So if you click on it, you'll see that there is forums general support. Somebody had a question about camp close dates and event surveys and remove a. Funny thing is, you see one that's interesting because you can keep scrolling it. Is let's see, I click on that one. You can see what their question was, unless they unless they posted it as private, and then it'll just say you don't have permissions to look at it. So if you found one that was interesting, there you go. You could go and take a look at that. And then under your name, you can log out. You also have quick access to um, different areas depending on your registration. You can also update your profile, which is, your name, phone number, email, things like that, because that's how that stuff's posted, is showing from there. So let's take a look at the biggest one, which is the events. So the majority of what we do is copy an event and make edits. In scouting, and I'm assuming nobody's brand new to being an event leader here, there is very little brand new events under the sun, right? We do camporees, we do Klondikes, we do coveries, we have clay shoots, we do summer camp, we do day camp, we do university scoutings, we do merit badge colleges, right? These are all our events. So typically, as opposed to building a brand new event, we take last year's event, copy it over, and make edits to it. And if there is a brand new event, we will build one. But what we're going to do is we're going to look through the screens of an event so that you can see what they all look like filled out. And then this is going to be a tough one, but adding a new event or building one from scratch is right there. Big old add new event button. So we'll go from there. To begin with, I'm just going to X out of this. So with this section blank there, this will show you all of the events that you have access to. Now, granted, my list is bigger. To explain this a little bit, anything in green is draft mode. I'll come back to this because these are important. These are in draft mode. If it has a red next to it, something's not ready to run on this yet. And we'll look at specific lines, but I'll explain it. White is that this registration is up and working now. And then you'll have another color here for this reddish thing. This event was canceled. And then gray for it's a past event. So if we look at a line of it, and these will already filter out to only the ones that you have access to. So again, if you only have access to one event, it's only going to show you that. If you have access to, say, all the activities in the council, your list will be longer, and you can filter this to find the one that you're looking for. But let's look at a line, and then we'll come to this. So we're going to pick on this Endless Mountains Fall Camporee, and I'll explain the naming in a second. So over here, this tells me that somebody still had money due to us. And you will see this as the event's going on right here. This still has money being due. By the end of your event, that should be gone. That shouldn't have anything there if people did check out correctly between the event chair and the staff advisor. This number here, and which, by the way, nice thing is you can click on that and you can see right where the money issue is. But we'll get to that screen in a second. I just want to show you that almost everything in here is interactive. This number is a unique number of the event. So when you go to the forums and you post a question to them, they will know that you're coming from Great Falls Council. However, if we have 3 events called the Cub Scout Cubberee, which one are you asking about? So if you write down or copy and paste that event identification number, they will know that it's that specific event that you're asking about. If it's the only event with that name, they can figure that out too. They're really good with this. So this is an account code, won't matter to you, but when we build these events, we need to know the account and we put it in there. We typically take care of the account code working with the business manager if there's not one in there already. This is the date of the event, what it's called. Now, scroll up a little bit. Just notice that there's numbers here. These are registrations. So there's youth, adult, other, and wait list. So on a very brief explanation, because it'll make a little bit more sense when we look at the registration, a registration for an event is built into a few parts. There is the registration, which is the entire thing. Then there is the registrant, which is the individual. So you have a registration contact, and that is who who did the registration. So if I went in to register my unit, I'm the registration contact. For each person I put into the registration, that is a registrant. You can have youth registrants, you can have adult registrants, and then we'll get into types when we look at the screens. Then the other would be things like teams. So when you're doing like a golf tournament, they're usually set up as a 4-person team. When you're doing a clay shoot, generally a 4-person team, we're not charging on the individual, we're charging as a team. You may want to use the feature as how many people are part of a Klondike sled. And that's what that is. And waitlist is if you have a maximum number set on your event, but you want to make sure other people can know that there's maybe an opportunity, you can waitlist them. And then if a spot opens up, you can move those people into that spot, not have to go, hey, we need more people. Or maybe you see that, I've got just 2 groups waitlisted here. I think I can make 2 more groups work, and you can open it up. I can say on an event level, we haven't used it that much because we really haven't capped out on any registration or any size for an event on here. And then we have the 3 buttons over here. And again, depending on your access, what you'll have, if we click on the 3 buttons, we can clone the event right from here. I can just take a look at the registrations. I can go straight to reports. I can have the system do a review of the setup. And then I can go to the summary page, and we'll look at these things, but they're just quick access to get to there. So let's take a look at this Endless Mountains Fall Camporine. And all you got to do is click on the words, and it comes right on up. So this is the summary page. You'll be getting access to this all the time. So this is showing in red because the event is passed and they haven't done their closeout on it, but this tells you $60 still owed. Well, if I come to process unpaid balances, it tells you exactly who owes the money. Now, maybe they paid at the event and somebody forgot to enter it in to credit it in the system. Maybe they got in and told you that they'll pay it back and they haven't paid it yet, and we can still go after them in a nice scouting way, but they owe money. And you can get directly to their receipt or registration from there. We can log the payment from here if you have access to log a payment. And we'll look at that screen when we get to check-ins. Complete closeout report is always my favorite. Doesn't get done enough. You cannot do this till your event's over with. But from here, this is the staff advisor. This is the volunteer. Who's running it next year? Any kind of comments you had about the event, your thoughts? How was the weather? What vendors did you use? Who would you think for next year? Sponsors next year, in-kind gifts, things that we tried different this year, things we want to try for next year, improvements. Don't do this again. Oh, we want to do this again. And maybe some attachments, surveys, things like that. Up here, it shows all of your attendance on there, how much money you collected, your total income. You can put in your overall expenses at the end, and it'll tell you what your profit margin, what your profit was on this. And it's not figuring it out from your own. You just put in your total expense, and this will give you an idea next year of what it was, or if you need to be looking at these prices a little bit more. And then how did your registration look? So a great thing to be working on, but it really between you and your staff advisor to get it done. So up here, this tells us that the event is public. It's currently running. We had the options of canceling an event, which we don't do right away. Even if you let us know, hey, I need to cancel this event, chances are we're going to postpone it or suspend. Suspend's not here because the event's passed. Because we want to take care of the refunds first. And when you straight out cancel an event, it wants to move all the excess money into account payable or pending credit. And we'd rather, for the most part, it's either going to get moved to, if there was a weather storm that came through and you're just moving the date, we can move the registrations. If we need to do refunds, we want to go through and do the refunds in the system here, process them that way, and then we will cancel out. Well, so we'll typically go with a suspend first and then cancel after we've taken care of all the refunds. And then, of course, here are the different registrant types that you had in. So there was a youth registrant type that was called Scouts BSA Youth. There was a registrant type for the adult that was called Scouts BSA Adult. So that's how many came in. This system, as we look at it, will also let you put in late fees, regular fees, early fees, things like that. And if you have any of those built in, it will tell you how much you collected in late fees, how much total paid. So works out really well. Now, when we first, I'm sorry, let's go over to this one. This one is the link to the event. So when we first build you an event that comes up, doing it off the stuff that you gave us, it's your event. All we do is put in the stuff that you have. We'll ask a few questions. But then when we're done with as much as we can do with it, we're going to send you the draft link, which looks exactly like this, except it has draft after it. And that's a working link. We send that to you and your staff advisor, and then we'll tell you to play with it. Go in and try it out. You can go all the way through registration up until payment, and then it stops. It won't let you go through the payment phase. Try any variations of registration you want, and then email us with any changes that you'd like. We'll make the changes, and then one of you on that email, you, your staff advisor, I don't know who else you put on the email, but whoever you do is who we go to. You have to tell us to make it live. It will not go live until you've told us to do it. And I can tell you, at least JJ on this phone call can tell you that there's probably been one or two events that people forgot didn't go live because they forgot to tell us. Yeah, well,
Mark, I
yeah,
will 2 seconds. Yes. And I would just recommend to everybody that read your event. Mark does a lot. As he had said, you copy and paste a lot, and occasionally a date gets missed or something else gets missed. So I'm OCD about it when he builds me events that I do read them word for word. There's been events that I've critiqued, if you will, and there's a link and the link doesn't go anywhere, or it's a bad link or something like that. So please just take the time, look the whole event over, push all the tabs, push all the buttons, make sure everything works, because that's what the public is going to see.
yep, yep. You're not hurting our feelings when you find things wrong. It's your event. We're just here to, me and my team are just here to build it for you. So once it goes live, so what happens next? So when you tell us that it's good and it's live, we then send out the first set of promotions on it. So um, communication. So what we end up doing is we will be using Scoutbook. I don't think in WNY they use that, but you will be. So in Scoutbook, it enables us as council administrators to send out emails specific to groups. We can send them to PAX troop crews. We can send them to Key 3. We can send to just the adults, adult leadership. We can send to adult leaders. We can send to parents. We can send to the youth if they have one in there. We can do that just at a district level. We can do multiple districts. We can do the entire council. We will send out the first set of promotions on that. We also are going to be using a internal Facebook group called the Water Cooler. And that's where we put up a lot of our internal council level events. And a district event is a council level event, right? We market all of our events. You'll see this when I get into the description of Fall Camporee. Is it's not Endless Mountains Fall Camporee, it's the Fall Camporee hosted by Endless Mountains, right? Because you're not going to exclude the district next door from coming to that event. Now, in some cases, that is actually very true, though, right? For a Pushmobile, a Pinewood Derby, those are usually the packs within the district, and that's it. But those are the things we take into account when we market. So we'll also send the stuff out to the professional staff to include with the roundtables and district communications and things along that line. So we put out a bunch of different methods of communication to go on out. That's when we turn it on live. We are happy to do other ones, but you have to write it up. Do not ever rely on me to do a write up for, say, this camporee in 2 months. I will do the first one, but you want another one in like 3 weeks. Write something up, send it to us, and we will put it out again in all those avenues. But your event, you know it, and we're dealing with an entire council's worth of events. I'm not going to remember yours. So your event is important to you. Make sure you do a write-up that's unique to your event, good sale pieces. Hopefully you're not going to send me the exact same thing that was sent on the previous announcement, because something new to get people excited about coming are always a good thing. Okay. So, um, let's take a look at setup, and then this summary is part of the event, but we're going to start with setup so you can see the options that are here for you. All right. So the first thing on setup is the name. You have to be careful with the